You, what it do? Y'all already know where y'all at. And for those of you who don't know where y'all at, welcome to the Life Be Life and podcast, hosted by none other than the sensational, the amazing, the wise, the thug on the low, the beautiful, and the hilarious Mimi, the goddess herself.
Hi guys.
Baby.
What it do?
And she is flanked by none other than your favorite coach's favorite coach. I know I got an AKA every week. I came this week
I
without
love them.
forcing nothing up. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in forcing up bad shots as a coach. You know what I mean? If it ain't organic, you can't plan it. You feel me? So
On
and
that
y'all already
swish.
know who it is. Your favorite coach, Splash Charles, aka Big Nine, aka the Big Dog. Woof. You feel
All
me?
of them.
So, we hope that y'all been cool. We hope that everything's been good with y'all. Y'all been having a great week so far. If not, there's still one more day left in the week to turn it around. You feel me? Close out strong.
Yep, get
Uh,
it together, people.
that being said, we gonna hop right into our touch and go for this episode.
Mhm.
We apologize to those who may be affected by it because it is going to be quite of a somber note. But first and foremost, shout out to PNB Rock. Uh, what I'm saying, who was unfortunately murdered out in LA recently. Trying to get a
Yeah.
bite to eat, and the Jackets came out to play. And when they come out to play, it's not playing. So
I don't play fair. Niggas can't even get a chicken and waffles in peace.
feel
Shit.
me? Very unfortunate to lose the young man in that fashion, and I do mean young man, man.
Yeah. He's only 30, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's crazy.
yeah, man. For those of you who
Uh,
don't know, of course, he's out of Philly and out of my stomping grounds out in the Uptown. The PNB stands for Pastorius and Bacon. If y'all ain't know,
mhm.
Town High alum, that's right around the corner. He was
I'm sure a
definitely
lot of people felt like they needed to look that up after he passed, which is
for
crazy.
sure. That's why
I
I
was
felt
like,
like I had to go ahead and drop it for those who might hear it and not know.
definitely,
It
definitely.
wasn't peanut and butter. Uh,
Oh, these artists and these acronyms, you gotta love it, but
it's
at
slick.
least it's really stood for something though,
You
right?
feel me? And so, definitely shout out to him. Shout out to my homie Maine. I know that's his family. Shout out to his big mom. Shout out to his mom and to his
Yeah.
daughter. God be with all y'all. And the fans, you know what I'm saying? The fans and the friends of his who are mourning the loss. Because you know what I'm saying? People act like because you're a fan, you can't, mourn these people if their music touched you or if they affected you or if you had a
Yeah.
solid moment with them. Nah, man. It's life. The loss, especially a murder like that, man.
Yeah, so
You can't tell people
unnecessary.
they're not allowed to mourn. Like, cool out.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who are you? Cool out.
Yeah. People are affected by folks that, I mean, I know I was running around here. I still sing Selfish to the top of my lungs to this day. That's like one of my favorite songs by him. But I guess a lot of people really just didn't realize a lot of the collabos he did. Like he was on Pop Smoke's Ordinary. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love that Fabo's Options. That's definitely one of my faves. I love me some Fabo. And he was on a couple of songs on the Fast and Furious. Was it seven? Soundtrack, I think it was. I think he was on like two or three songs on there. Like he was moving and shaking. I mean, he did big collabos with folks like Nicki and whatnot.
Facts.
Those songs. I'm a fan of like more of his music, by himself per se. But some of his
I'm about to say,
collabos were
I'm
pretty decent.
not gonna act like I was the biggest, like I had a lot of his music in my playlist, but he had a couple of joints, like you said, where it was what he put out, not so much the collabs, but
Hmm.
his joints that I was feeling. So,
Yeah, definitely selfish issues, and there's another one I
issues for
can't think
sure.
of. It's on my R&B playlist, but I definitely liked his. I liked his sound.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was unique
yeah,
in and of itself. Um,
yeah, it's just sad. I mean, and it's funny because so many people are hollering, "Oh, why would he go to the one on Manchester?" And I'm like, I mean, people should be free to eat wherever the fuck they want. Now that is one of the most hoodest Roscoe's ever. And
sure
every
is.
time I go out Cali, Roscoe's is a must. And I will say, my little brother when he was living out there, he was like, "Yeah, we're not going to that one." And I'm like, I get it, but And then the whole thing with people blaming his girlfriend for dropping the location, I was like, come
It's
on,
crazy
y'all.
because
Like
didn't we mention location in the last episode?
you talked about
Didn't we
that. And
mention that?
yeah, but the funny thing is it's like I see both sides of the coin, right? I get what people are saying in respect to stop feeling like you always got to post where you at or, post what you doing to be seen or whatever. But at the same time, I just really don't feel like that had much of anything to do with him getting lined up. Like I said, that's one of the hoodest Roscoe's. It be janky characters and local jokers all over the place out there, John. So it could have just been a simple situation where dude was already in there, knew who he was, or somebody in and say, hey, Shotty in here, he's flexing, shining, like we gonna get this nigga. And let's be honest, some of the circumstances of society today, it really lends to people feeling like they can just run up on folks and take their shit because they just can. Whether they need the money, that's just how they get down and they grimy like that. Or, it's like one of them things where people want what they see other motherfuckers with and they gonna take it.
For real, for real.
So it just sucks that it had to be him and he lost his life over what seems to be a chain. But, like Ice-T spoke on that. He was like, I'm not gonna keep telling y'all about LA gang culture. That shit different.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, why y'all think we don't move with a bunch of jewelry like that? He was like, it ain't because we don't have it. It's just because we already know how people out here are. And it's like, yeah, you kind of got to be aware of your surroundings and, the areas that you frequent and whatnot. But for him to lose his life behind that, that's
Crazy.
just wow crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of that whole thing too with the whole, man, it's just like unless y'all, which is a harsh thing to say, unless y'all trying to say that she lined him up, there's no way y'all could really pin that on her just because
I
she
don't
dropped.
think she
Me
did.
personally, I'm not a fan of everybody putting their location of where they at right
Yeah, I
there.
don't be doing that.
Girl. I was talking to one of my young boys, and we were saying like honestly, as an entertainer, artist, a celebrity, especially if you're getting that bread, y'all gotta invest in security, man, because
Yeah.
being an entertainer is a dangerous job now.
Mm-hmm.
No
I
matter
agree.
what you rap about, no matter what your music about. It used to be
Yeah.
talking that tough stuff, somebody come and try you. But come on, man,
Mm-hmm.
you PNB singing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Singing. So it's like, did you really feel like
Yeah.
you needed testing? No, it was just a situation where you saw him by himself, you saw he was shining, and y'all some, you know what I mean? Y'all some hating ass niggas, y'all some grimy ass niggas, and it wasn't enough to come up off the lick. Y'all could have took everything off the man. All right, left him there in his drawer
Yeah.
and peeled
Yeah.
off, but that wasn't enough. Y'all had to take his life for somebody reading. That should be too wicked.
Yeah. I be that hating that shit to me.
And that's
Like,
why I said I know it's a hater. That's somebody who like it wasn't just that you a jack boy. It's like you dislike him because he, living a life you can't.
yeah.
That's definitely some hater stuff for you to take his life because you ain't had to. It's not like he was gonna tell the cops.
Yeah. It's
It's
a
not like he was
chain. He
gonna
just gonna
pull up and
report
try
it.
to look for you to get even.
Exactly. Like these niggas out here get robbed for their chains every day, B. Like he would have just reported
Don't
that.
get
Him and his girl would have kept moving, And I
enough.
really just don't think she had anything to do with it.
I
Like,
don't think so
from what
either.
I've seen, and apparently that's his baby mother. So
Yeah,
I just don't see it. Like, what would be the win in that for her? Because he taking care of you. So you getting him robbed to do what?
exactly.
People
Not like
always
you was
got a bunch
like,
of speculation. Right. Right.
you know,
You ain't
you
getting
was
nothing.
like you inheriting all the bread and all the residuals or
Yeah.
whatever that be. But like you said, that's his baby
Yeah.
mom. So like she not entitled to, but so much like
Yeah. So he worth more alive to her than he is dead because she
real
getting
shit.
money. I mean, as bad as that sounds, I mean, and just seeing some of the
I mean, that's the
videos
truth.
of them together, like you could tell she was, she was about that man. But then again, we really don't know people. We don't know what
Same.
people putting on for the camera either. So it could be
That's
a
fact.
million and one, reasons, explanations, excuses. But at the end of the day, that man was killed for some jewelry. He lost
Nothing.
his life for something that was really, in essence, meaningless and could be replaced. And his life can't be replaced. He's leaving
That's a
behind
fact.
children, family, and niggas need to get off that grimy bitch ass nigga shit. Like Yeah, I get it. It's tough out here right now. Like, we in a recession, it's inflation, but people was on that bullshit long before the
That's a
pandemic and
fact.
all this foolishness. Now they're just using it as a prominent excuse to keep doing it freely and outwardly. And I think it's bullshit. Get rid of fucking job, you bum ass niggas.
Couldn't have said it better. Couldn't have said it better. And in honor of PNB, who is a local legend, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about local legends, you know what I'm saying? People out from our area, being as though, you know what I mean, this podcast is from two different people from two different states, you feel me?
Yeah.
We get the luxury of, you know what I mean, kind of representing for where we from in this episode
Yeah.
and putting on for the put on. So it wasn't no limitations of whether they alive or dead, whether
Okay.
no matter what it is they do, we just gonna give a couple of people their flowers because unfortunately, it's always like all now everybody love PNB now that he gone. You know what I'm saying? Now
A mess.
when you got to start giving people their flowers while they here. So I'll let you start off.
Well, it's funny because this person will forever be immortalized in DC as a legend, the greatest person ever to do anything in Washington, DC, the District of Columbia, the nation's capital, Mayor for life, Marion Barry. And when I
Hmm.
tell you, everybody love this man. Like he did a lot for the city. He started, summer youth employment programs. He started a lot of other adult jobs programs. He was responsible for a lot of the technical schools and trade schools, night schools that we have in DC to give people, opportunities to finish, school, getting their degree. He had a lot of like play in DC, UDC, which is the University of District of Columbia, which people downplay, but they have a lot of great programs that come out of that university thanks to him. I know a couple of people, like I literally could have went there for architecture if I wanted to. I just didn't want to be here. But
Right.
he made UDC a great university. Um, and I mean, minus his crack scandal, he still was reelected mayor. Like, I mean,
Still,
niggas
that's how you
loved him.
know.
He has a whole like memorial here, and his wife still runs the Southeast Tennis Center. I know a couple
Okay.
of people that work over there, like programs still being fed through there. That he started, and she's just continuing his legacy with. But
That's tough.
yeah, Marion Barry, Mayor for Life, man. He was, it will forever always be a DC great. Like they love that man. Like I don't think no mayor ever going to top him. Period.
Shoot, I don't know. No, I don't even know another state who got more love for what I mean, a mayor, a former mayor than y'all do for Marion Barry, man.
Man, that was
Like
our homie right there. That was our ace.
he literally stood super tall out there, man, and he showed the love and it was returned. And like that's the kind of stuff that you talk about when you give somebody that title of a legend. You know what I'm saying? It's not just that they did
Yeah,
something dope, it's that people felt it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And for my first, it's definitely heavy on the personal side. But you know what I mean, and of course, if you followed me on Instagram, you see me mentioning before. I mean, we share the same birthday. I shot my man Aaron Owens, aka AO. You know what I mean, as
Yo,
a living legend, man. Because on one hand, it may seem like it's simple, like he just hooped or he was just on N1, but it wasn't just that. It was like when N1 came out, man. Gotta understand that joint was heavy New York. Like even
right.
even the main event, who was from New Jersey, like niggas just assumed he was
Still.
from New York. You know what I'm saying? He was out there playing out on Rucker, so everybody kind of had that New York identity. And you know, I think one of the best things ESPN did was giving them that shot to where they, put N1 on ESPN, and you could kind of see everybody personalities. And AO stood out. His
Yeah,
game always stood out to me because
yeah.
I'd seen him play here or whatever, but like just his moves, he wasn't doing the same moves everybody else was doing. He wasn't doing the same
Nah,
tricks
he was
everybody else was
funky.
doing. Like he had a
Yeah.
couple of Jones, that's kind of I guess you might as well call it standard by now, a couple of standard street ball moves. But even his running crossover, I feel like every time I mention him, I gotta mention that. It's one of the
Yeah.
craziest things I've ever seen. I've literally only ever seen Jason Kidd run at full speed and cross somebody over like left to right like it's nothing. Like
Yeah, just easy.
not breaking stride. Like most people, you see them hesitate, they slow up. and he's going at full speed, hitting that joint left, right, left. I mean,
none of
man,
that
listen.
stutter step
So
shit.
yeah, like that's crazy. That amount of control is
Very.
crazy.
That's crazy.
But
Ball handles, that takes a
you
lot
feel
of
me?
skill.
But it's not just like I said, it's not just what he did on the court. It's the kind of person he is off it. Like I swear to God, run into him anywhere, yo. Run into him anywhere, and you gonna leave with a laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not one of those people that's like, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, you gotta, honor me, you gotta celebrate me. Like if you're talking about
Yeah.
basketball, then he's like, fuck yeah, you act like you
Yeah.
know.
Give me
You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about
give me my
Philly and
props.
basketball, you better mention my fucking name.
Yeah.
You can mention me after these people, but you gotta
But my
mention
name
my
better
name.
be on that list.
Straight up. You can't go to 5 and not mention me.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like as a person, like there's definitely a bunch of hoopers I've seen and a bunch of people I know who hoop. You run into them and you speak to them, they kind of give you that, because they know their
Weirdo
name is known
energy.
around the city. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just walk up to them and bump into them. But I mean, all the way from when and1 was popping and was live, and you ran into him, whether it was like at an event or you just ran into him or whatever,
Yeah.
it's just like, hey, can we get a picture? Yeah, man, come on. You know what I mean? Can you get an
Yeah.
autograph? What you want me to sign? You know what I'm saying? Like, or just literally bust it up with him. You at the bus stop, he walked past, and he like, yo, what's up with it? Ain't nothing. It's hot as shit out here, ain't it? You know what I'm saying? Like just little stuff like that. And the way he
Yeah.
interact with people is kind of like Philly get a bad rep in terms of, hostility and, being the anti-city of brotherly love and shit like that.
Man, can't be no
But
worse than New York.
but how about that? For real. But definitely the way he carried it with people, you know what I mean, who want to interact with him. And the tough side that we are known for, because whether it was on the court or off the court, you wasn't just gonna poke that man, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
he worked hard, he played hard, he partied hard.
Don't they all though?
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, he just, to me, he embodied everything that, like, if I ever wanted to, you know what I'm saying, if I was ever gonna be famous, I wanted to embody that kind of hoop stuff that he do. And it's just like to know somebody who, know they wasn't quite the NBA, but like, man, let's not play like N1 celebrity wasn't through the roof at one point in time. Like, the motherfuckers wasn't like
Yeah.
rock stars for real.
They
So
was getting
to
some notoriety up underneath them.
and quite a few of those players didn't keep the level head that he did with it.
Yeah.
So, for him to still reach back, like, he's done coaching since, done
Oh, that's
camps,
good.
clinics. You know what I'm saying? He support the younger players. Like, he's always in tune with them, always tapping in, always rooting for him. So, I mean, overall,
That's what I'm talking
solid
about. Giving
dude,
back to
man.
your
So
community. That's what make you a legend.
definitely gotta get that make exactly, and I gotta get that man his flowers every time I get a chance.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. They don't do that enough, I feel like. So
We don't.
yeah. Let's see. All right, so this person, he's not even, he's passed now. But Chuck Brown, man, when I tell you
Mm,
the Godfather of go-go, because DC
mm.
is like known for go-go. That's like our thing,
Factual. That's your thing. Yep.
And he has so much influence on go-go, and it shifted, its way into other music, and he was a guitarist, really. But for some reason, like his impact on the DC go-go scene, like, is huge. Like, you can't mention go-go and not mention Chuck Brown. And like, he wasn't even born in DC, but apparently he was like raised here. So it's just kind of like, yeah, he automatically gets to become a DC legend just for what he did for the nation's capital as far as our music, because go-go really is just a DC thing for the most part. I mean, I feel like other places kind of pick up on the vibe of it and they like it. Maybe a little, not so much so. Just kind of depends on they don't like everything go-go. It's like they pick and choose more commercial stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he kind of made that commercial sense of go-go a little more appealing for people. But man, I mean, every year in the city, they celebrate Chuck Brown's birthday and his passing, and anything that's go-go related, he is definitely memorialized there. So Yeah, Godfather Go-Go is definitely a DC legend. I gotta mention.
For sure, for sure. So I was trying. When I came up with this, I was trying to think of everybody who did stuff. Whether it was politics or music, but remember, I'm always gonna go with what relates to me, and that's one of the big things with that is basketball.
Yeah.
Um, so another person I'm gonna mention is Paul Gripper, rest in peace. He passed. He passed. I want to say this year, earlier
Mhm.
this year. Yeah, man, at the young age of 50. But there's a bunch of names that's synonymous with grassroots
Yeah.
basketball. Sunny Hill, of course, or whatever. People know him everywhere. But like, if you hooped in Philly, you can't say you grew up hooping in Philly and you didn't know Uncle P or Unc P. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like Big Grip. Like you can't. You couldn't. Like that means you didn't hoop in the right places. Like that means you was just playing out in the park somewhere. But
Yeah,
you
you
never
were just gonna
played.
play
I mean,
somebody's school
yeah,
basketball
that
court.
means you ain't really do AAU like that. That means you really ain't do uh, you know, high school like that. I mean, dude just really elevated the spirit of Philadelphia youth basketball. I mean, um, it's to the point where, and it's like I don't know nobody with a bad gripper experience. Like I literally don't. I don't know nobody with a bad Uncle P
Yeah.
story, like at all. Whether it was he did something for you, he gave you a kind word, he kept it real with you. Like one time, I ain't even mind you, like I knew who he was, but I didn't know him personally, and I didn't know he was
Yeah.
in the building for this tournament I was coaching. And we end up losing the game. So we came over, complimented me on the job I did, but told me like, you should have never had this kid in the game. Like this one particular kid, he was like, you should have never had him in the game. Why did you even play him?
Oh wow.
Because he don't have the heart, and he was holding y'all back.
Mm,
And
that's
I'm
crazy.
like, well, it's not that he lack heart. He's like, did he lack heart that game? I said, well, yeah. He's
Yeah.
like, all right.
Hmm.
Like, you don't need to give me no spiel or his bio. I'm telling you what I saw because I know
Yeah.
what I know. And it's like, without him even knowing that I recognized who he was, it wasn't even on some, well, you know who I am.
No,
It
I
was
am.
just
Yeah.
really, yeah, it wasn't like that. It was really just on some OG type shit. Like, trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you knew what I'm talking about too, because I saw you look like you was going to pull him. And I just had to tell him, like, yeah, we had somebody who, like, he that's why he didn't play but so much. But the other kid who I would have played in his time, he wasn't physically well. So I only could play him in spurts. And he's
Spurs.
like,
Yeah.
all right, all right, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, the next time you play that team and you end up in a jam like that and you trying to seal it, foul such and such. He
Mm,
don't shoot well late in games. And I'm like, because this is my first time ever playing in this particular tournament or coaching this particular
yeah.
tournament. First time ever seeing that team. Like we was getting laughed at
Oh
when we walked
wow.
in the gym because they was expecting us to get dog walked. And
Right.
by the time the game end, you got people all over the gym standing up because it's a close ass game.
Gang. Yeah.
And I never saw him. I never saw him amongst the crowd. So, when he caught me on my way out the door of the gym to go to the other
He
gym,
was like,
yeah, right. It's like, it's
"Who
like,
me? You
damn,
talking to me?"
right. So then it was like, oh, okay, all right. Because again, like, I didn't know him by face.
Right.
So as he was talking to me, I heard somebody else come and call his name, and then that's when I realized who I'm talking to.
He was
And
like,
I'm like,
"Damn,
damn,
I'm gonna
yeah,
go to
I'm saying?
record."
Like, damn. Like I mean, he don't know me from a can of paint. He had to say nothing to me. He could have just went over
Yep,
there, congratulated
he
the team that
really
actually
did.
won. You know what I'm saying? But there's definitely, I mean, a bunch of testimonials of how he's helped people get to this level, or I
Yeah.
mean, the advice. And it's just kind of like as a coach and as a mentor, man, uh, I can only speak for. I mean, I know there's other places where it's kind of rough coaching and stuff like that, but coaching in Philly hoops where it's so divided, like so many other places, they put together really, really good teams. They just have multiple good teams for the
Yeah.
area, like New York, out your area, DMV. they don't have like teams that's like beefing with each other. Their teams are cycle players through multiple AAU teams, and it's just
Yep.
whoever's hot at the
They
time.
rotate them. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Whereas in, unfortunately, Philly don't be like that. You got like
Yeah.
5 teams out north. You got 3 teams out west. Instead of saying, let's come together and make a powerhouse and stuff like that. He used to always say that stuff all the time. Like, yo, we could get it together. We could get it together. If I could get kids from South Carolina and Ohio to come out and play in this tournament, how you can't get this kid from Southwest to play with this kid from West?
Uptown. Yeah.
Like, and just put them together and y'all have a West Philly All-Stars. Like, y'all not getting paid to coach. I could see if it was a contract thing, but y'all out here volunteering y'all time. Y'all might as well make a big program and just put multiple teams in the program.
Yeah, which makes sense, but we all know how that should be going.
Unfortunately, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, no, he touched a lot of people. Even if he was a bum, he didn't make you feel like a bum. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
you gotta appreciate people like that.
Yeah, man. It's just that when you see somebody who's done so much and touched so many people through the sport, it's like that kind of footprint he left. I would hope that by the time, you know what I'm saying, I get to 50, I've left something like that. I know I ain't gonna have the kind of imprint he had, but if I could have something like that, I feel like I'm dope.
Yeah, so it's really about, your notoriety, people, remembering your legacy. That's what's most important. I know a lot of people out here want to be wealthy and make money, but when I leave this earth, I just want to make sure I'm leaving my mark on people and I'm making an impact on people. And people remember what I stood for, and I have that type of status, not necessarily legendary, but they know my notoriety.
Right. So. They know my body.
Yeah, you know me.
You know my body. I mean, I feel it. Anybody else you got?
Yeah. So this is a little bit of a touchy topic. But,
talk.
I'm sorry. I feel like Rayful Evans is a DC legend. Everybody knows who the fuck Rayful Evans is. He was one of the biggest drug kingpins ever. And really, like, I'm an 80s baby. So that's when, the crack, epidemic started. And of course, I, will safely state that I grew up, middle class. My family, had, good government jobs, and I live, in uptown Northwest in a nice little corner house. So that's not to say that I didn't experience drug happenings, because like literally when we moved in our house, the lady that was living there, like the niggas would be sitting on the front porch, and I'm not talking about the bottom steps. I'm talking about on the porch. Yeah, she wasn't even coming out her front door. I was just like, and the only reason we didn't have any problems because my father's uniform had like a government patch on it. So they thought he was fed. So they approached him one day and it was like, yeah, you my father was like, no, but I do work for the government. He was like, listen, I don't want no parts of what y'all doing. Keep that shit off my front. Keep that shit from around my kids. We ain't gonna have no issues. Just don't be standing over here selling no drugs. Don't sell no drugs to my kids. Don't be around my kids' friends with that shit. And they always respected my father. And I guess that's the thing, like Rayful Edmonds got so much respect in DC for the way he, put people on in the drug game. It's almost like it's bad to praise him for that, but how some people, I mean, because you look at like Meech, right? And he was out here blowing money in the club. Yeah, he's beloved in ATL and those parts, but I guess starting up there in Detroit, but more so Atlanta. Like I feel like once he migrated, once him and Terry kind of like with their separate ways, but he was like bringing tigers in the club and shit. Like that wasn't Rayful's style. Like Rayful was like really living kind of a low-key life, but flashy to DC niggas, but also the people he was putting on as like the, top dogs underneath him, they was living good too. It wasn't like he was out here just getting all of the kingpin money and leaving everybody else out there to not eat. So I guess that's why I kind of want to call him a legend a little bit, something like, because he did job paid away. It's bad, but let's not act like we the ones who bought that shit over here. Let's just call it what it is.
Hey.
It was a thing to do. I don't know who would still be out here selling drugs at this point. Why? For what? But to
I
each his
don't get
own.
it.
I
I
don't. I
don't
never
get
did
it.
get it, but again, I also don't judge because, like I said, I didn't grow up like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a need to do shit like that.
For sure.
Peddle a little weed maybe, but selling coke, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not spending the rest of my life in prison. And even with him going to jail, never rolled on people, even though they want to pin him for a snitch for certain things. But I'm just kind of like,
Excuse me.
ain't nobody doing that amount of time they snitching.
Right.
But
That's a
so
fact.
I feel like Rayful Evans is definitely a DC legend, kind of for all the wrong reasons. But you can't tell me you don't know his name and you don't know he's synonymous with a DC kingpin. So, like I said, he did stuff in the community. Like nobody wants to really talk about that because it's funded with drug money. But he was gatekeeper of the community, I guess you could say.
True indeed. True indeed. Um, and I guess this might be premature for this last person I'm gonna name, but she's near and dear to my heart. Uh, um, my geeky little heart.
Yeah.
Ariel Johnson. Um,
Oh.
who is the first Black woman to own her own comic book store on the East Coast.
Oh.
Amalgam Comics and Coffee Shop.
What?
Um,
Now you
yeah,
just piqued my interest because I'm a big coffee fan.
yeah, and it sucks because she's also unfortunately one of the victims of COVID business. You know what I
Oh
mean? Being as
no,
though,
really?
yeah, being as though she was only out for like a couple of years before COVID hit. Um, a year or two before COVID hit, like that definitely um
Oh
put a
no.
smack on, I mean, the way she was able to, order stuff and handle the business. But
She's
I
still open?
feel she's still open right now, but she
Okay.
announced that they're gonna close. She announced that they'll be closing this year.
Oh,
So I definitely said I have to make sure to make a final visit, show us
y'all
some
better go do
love on a
something to
personal
save
level.
save the business.
Like, well, and it's funny because she said people was reaching out and asking and stuff like that, and she was just kind of like, from a personal aspect, it's just like,
It is what it is.
yeah, what I'm saying, it'll be, nobody's gonna be able to really cover that much of the losses. I mean, it's pretty much like,
Damn, it's like
sure, you'll
that.
have people who was at who came for the coffee or coffee shop vibe, but for the most part,
Yeah.
comic book geeks ain't, ain't gonna be able to save it by themselves. And it's not like,
Not comic
you know
book geeks.
what I'm saying, ain't gonna be able to save it by themselves. But I definitely wanted to shout out just because um one, I had named a woman, and my next one was gonna be doing Staley if I didn't name her. So she definitely get a fat
We can
shot
do an
as well.
honorable mention.
Yeah, she definitely gonna get a fat shot as well. But
You
yeah,
got to talk about Louis Vuitton Dawn.
I just think that it was just dope for her to have done that, for her to have created that atmosphere. Like, me, I've been to just about all the comic book stores around Philly or in Philly for that matter. And I had never seen one set up like a coffee shop. She even had the kids corner, so you could go over there, get stuff for the kids.
Mm.
She had the back kids shoes, the new stuff, the recommendations, stuff that a lot of
Hmm.
people have. She had the little package joints to where it's like, oh, if I wanted this storyline, I could get that. But I also, I'm also a big fan of customer service, and that's one thing that she had that beat out a lot of stores. You know what I'm
And
saying?
see, that's the
You
shit
always
that you
get a
hate to
smile when you come in.
lose.
Yes, 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 yes. And it's like I wish she was in a more popping part of town because I felt like she could have survived it. Unfortunately, her store was by Frankfurt. Frankfurt's too close to Kensington.
And
Kensington is
that's
the
so
most
unfair for
destitute
business.
part of
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
But that's probably where she can afford rent even before
And then
COVID.
that's
You
the
know what I'm
thing.
saying?
That's the thing about it. Yes, is that
They make it
property
so
over there is
difficult for
cheaper.
business owners, like the
I was
triple
just so
net on
glad that she never
storefronts.
got burglarized or nobody acted crazy there or
Yeah,
nothing like that.
yeah,
But I was there for free comic book day like year after year. Like even if I was gonna
mm,
stop at another store, I stopped at hers first. Um,
yeah,
because it was really, really a solid family experience. So what she was
yeah,
able to do for the time she was able to do it, I feel like, I mean, she had book hosting, book signings, um, little like release parties for people who's doing music, poetry jams.
yeah,
You could come and watch a show together, whatever she had planned for that. Like she did quite a few, she even had she was moving so much as far as like it had been so impressive that somehow it got back to Marvel and they did
get out.
they had put her on the cover. They had made a special edition cover with Ironheart Riri Williams in her shop.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I
And
feel
yet
like
she
I feel
wasn't
like that's
survived.
that's I feel like that's legend status right there. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Ain't too many people I know with a comic book
definitely.
store who got a Marvel edition cover. Like
Yeah, that's
ain't too
crazy.
many. So big
It's so
shout out
sad to
to
lose good businesses like that.
absolutely, man. It broke my heart when I saw the news. Like I was really flabbergasted, jaw dropped. Um it just goes to show how crazy, what I mean, COVID has been on society. Because like I said, it's not like she was like not doing good business. It's just that I guess, just the way things shook out. You
Yeah,
never know what her personal family situation was,
yeah,
how many people she might have had to hold down. Um,
yeah,
because it might have been other people, like even if she was still getting people to order online, like how I was, um, she might have still had to take care of somebody else who job couldn't just pick back up.
yeah.
Because a
COVID
lot of people
really
got laid off, a
just,
lot of people ended up unemployed. I
yeah, I'm about to
mean,
say COVID really did a number on a lot of people. And I just don't feel like they gave enough relief to small business owners.
I said the same thing.
I just don't, and I mean, it's like I can look at, and say that about Arturo and I, because with us owning our apartment building, it's like y'all telling me y'all cool, we supposed to be cool with these motherfuckers not paying rent. So what we supposed to do now? Luckily,
Right.
they allowed for the mortgage payments to be held on the property and stuff, but it's like you still got to pay that shit on the back end.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy because I feel like African American, small minority, woman owned, disadvantaged, yada, yada, yada businesses are the ones that suffer. And big businesses, they just went on about their merry little day, merry little way.
Got their
And
PPEs and kept it pushing.
okay, you know what I'm saying? And it's like the PPEs, these small businesses were receiving probably didn't cover shit for real.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I mean, I know the relief that they, gave for rental was like, this has been 2 years of this. This don't even
Right.
cover a year for both people. Like,
Yeah.
it's a
So these
mess.
small businesses that got employees and shit like that, like, come on, man.
Yeah, what they supposed to do? And then y'all mad because people don't want to go back to work. It's cheaper for them to just stay on unemployment. And now, like, because a lot of people
That
going back to
became the
work getting
lick.
treated like shit. Yeah, it's like now you mad. And you can't pay somebody $2.15 an hour and expect them to make that shit up in tips. And people out here being dreadfully nasty to folks. It's
Yeah,
it's a
because
whole nother
that's a
topic of
whole nother episode.
conversation.
You ain't never lie. We might
Yeah,
have to get into that.
let's earmark that.
Let's put that to the side.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, let me throw that honorable mention out for the Dawn Staley, the Coach Dawn
Louis
Staley. You know what I'm
Vuitton
saying?
Dawn.
Louis Vuitton Dawn, Teflon
That's
Dawn.
my girl.
Yeah,
I love
mean,
her.
uh, what can you say, man? Like she got it out the mud, as they say. Um, was
Fresh
legit,
to
worked
death.
hard, earned
Yes.
everything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Olympian, gold medalist. You know what I'm saying?
Big time baller. Shit.
What?
That girl, man.
What?
Crazy.
Stellar high school career. Awesome Temple Owl. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
WNBA career was solid.
Mm-hmm.
Truth be told, and people might sit there and try to diss her WNBA career, even though she was an assist in the Steel's demon. But the fact is that Charlotte Sting team was ass. Like, she was one of the only things keeping that afloat, and being as though she wasn't a natural scorer, that's saying a lot for them to not be the
exactly.
worst team every year. Okay,
Right.
so I ain't gonna let nobody put no
Still making
sweat
it,
on the
still making it do what
Teflon
they
Don
do.
name. And
Yeah.
then seeing what she's doing in South Carolina with these girls, man. Like,
I mean, I'm
come on
so
now.
impressed
Come
by
on now.
that.
2
Like,
chips in 3 years. She's turning out WNBA superstars
killing
left and
it.
right.
Killing it.
Left and right.
Killing it.
Like, do you not see Asia Wilson? Okay.
I'm like, y'all better stop playing with Louis Vuitton.
Listen. She
My girl.
Henny up next. You know what I mean? Cook, she up next. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
She gonna roll
Come
him
on,
out,
man.
and I can
Don't
appreciate that.
don't got some more chips to win. Please
Yeah,
believe it.
she do.
Please
I
believe it.
feel it. Like
Hall
I
of
really
Famer in every
appreciate
sense
what
of the
she
word.
doing. Yep, I really appreciate what she
Legend in
doing.
every sense of the word. And it's just like that genuine, like I said, that genuine, the good things about Philly that we promote, she's all that. You know what I mean? The toughness, the hard work, the honesty, the loyalty, all that. Like, she's that in spades. In spades. So definitely I couldn't make this list and not put her up.
Yeah. I almost want to say, I mean, so many great people came out of DC. You know, we can go on about this. Listen, I love me some Wale. Don't get it twisted. I am a huge Wale fan.
I know, you put me on.
I be like, y'all be acting like Wale. Like, Wale is Wale. Like, really, he's from Maryland, so whatever. But I mean, you got your Shy Glizzies and all of that. You got your Marvin Gaye's and your Duke Ellington. But for me, I gotta say, man, motherfucking Dave Chappelle.
Yes, sir.
This nigga is a DC legend.
Mm-hmm.
DC legend. Like, I am like his comedy. I'm honorable mention to him. Glad you from DC, because he be talking that shit, and I love it. Like, you know what, Dave? You say all the shit to people. When he put out the Chappelle show,
epic.
I was like, this my nigga right here, the Prince skit.
Oh my God.
With the Rick James shit.
Oh my God, man. Like, that and the Rick James, what? Untouchable.
I was like,
untouchable. I don't think I ever cried that hard in my life.
All of his, other like scenes and scenarios. Ashley Larry's from DC too, I believe. Is he?
I'm not sure.
Is Ashley Larry from DC?
Is Donald?
And I need to stop calling him that because that ain't his name.
Right. Donnell
Rawlins.
Rawlins. I don't know why I call him still. I'm bugging.
I think he from
Donnell
DC.
Rawlins.
He's funny as hell too, though. He put a lot of people on, like, he really did. And I love his comedy. And I loved his realness. Like, when they were trying to play with him about his creative, direction for his show, he was like, y'all can take that $58 million and stuck it up your ass, and I'm going on about my business.
Man, just to hear him explain certain shit, it's like, on one hand, you just hear something happens, and then you're like, damn, Dave, what the hell? And then you hear him explain it, and you like, oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And it'd be like,
like he just makes it too plain, too simple, to where, and it's like you don't want to be biased just because you like Dave and Dave said it.
Yeah.
But he makes it too hard for you to deny. Like, damn.
Yeah, he'd be like,
it don't get no realer than that.
Yeah, you like,
Like him saying that whole thing when he was like the nigga skit, he was like, yeah, I did that for jokes. And then white people thought it was okay to say that.
Exactly.
And I had to look at myself. Like, who does that? Who says I'm making all this money, but look at the side effects, so let me pass on making twice that much? Who does that?
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. A DC nigga who don't give a fuck about shit. Cause that's how DC people be. We don't give a fuck about shit. We be like, nah, we good. Like we miss me with all that bullshit. Just miss me
For
with it.
sure.
Like for sure. Like I don't got to be bothered with none of that shit. But
For sure.
yeah, Dave Chappelle was like, nah. And then I love that he enlisted people like Paul Mooney
Mm-hmm.
and his brother for comedy skits too, because Paul Mooney is one of my favorite comedians. And more so because he wrote with Richard Pryor, and I love Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, with that whole everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga shit. Like, he was perfect for Dave Chappelle's like writings. And
What's crazy?
yeah, so he's definitely my honorable mention for a DC legend. I mean, you got your Martins and shit, but as much as I love Martin, Dave
Nah,
Chappelle is
he ain't.
is
Yeah, I
is the
about to say
comedy like guru legend out of DC. Like he definitely put DC on the map.
longevity, impact. Yeah, hell yeah,
Yes.
hell yeah,
Wild ass boy.
hell yeah, man. No, that's a solid pick. That's a good bookend. That's a good bookend.
Yeah, I tried. I was like, I gotta
That's a
come
dope way to
correct.
you dunked on it to close it out. You dunked on it to close that
I,
one out. I ain't gonna hold you. That was nasty. That's a nasty finish. So like I said, that was just some time for us to, because we talk about a lot of serious topics here, and things can get a little
yeah.
heavy. And while we always said, we want to talk about things that's important, we don't want to make it seem like it always gotta be life or death every episode. We gotta have some fun here and there. We gotta
Yeah.
shine some positive energy, which we try to do every episode anyway. But I felt like I said, I felt like with the passing of Rock, it definitely was a good time to, pause and stop it, honor
Yeah.
those who did fall, but of course, give the flowers to those who could still smell them. You feel me? Um,
Gotta give people their flowers while they still alive.
got
Stop
to,
waiting till
man,
they
got to,
die.
got to. So with that said, we have now come to the life be life and like portion of the episode.
Hmm.
Talk to me, big sis. What life been like for you?
Man. So I know I have mentioned a couple of times that, you know, my uncle has really, really, really been struggling since the passing of my grandfather. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just gotten to a point where it's just it's all bad. And I think for me now it becomes a life be life in situation because it's spilling over into, the personal lives of, my mom and my brother and me and Art. Last Thursday he showed up. He had locked himself out of his house like he has done many of times, but this time no phone
Mm-hmm.
and not, so he walked because he lives like mm, a mile and a half from us, like just straight up the street, right? So he walked all the way from there here, but he's so drunk and disoriented and discombobulated that he's knocking on the neighbor's door,
Oh
bringing their
shoot.
doorbell, trying to get into their house, and they called the
Ooh.
police. Luckily, they were like, "Oh, that's Uncle Bob. His niece lives next door." Is they so sweet? And 12:36 at night, I'm knocked. So luckily, I heard the door, and he went and answered it, and I was like, I'm looking at the ring footage, and like my uncle just standing there. He looking like a fucking zombie, and the police are at the
Mm.
bottom of the steps, so you could tell it's like not a hostile situation. And they be like, "Hey, do you know him?" And he was like, "Yeah, this is my uncle." He was like, okay, yeah. Well, he tried to kind of like break into the neighbor's house, but he said he was looking for his key. So he was like, he talking, oh, I locked myself out. And so, like, again, this is now Art got to deal with this. He has to drive him home. We have a spare
Mm.
set of keys, go in the house. I get there, my uncle ain't even locked the apartment door, phone in there, door unlocked. It was a security door that really he couldn't get back into.
Okay.
But then my mom gets a call from his job last Friday. And they're like, yeah, we need somebody to come get Bobby because he's really like disoriented and we can't understand anything he's saying. He's like we didn't even think he was here because he didn't clock in and they thought he was a no call, no show for 2 days. Apparently he's so off his shit, he coming to work not clocking in. And then they proceeded to tell my mom that some of his coworkers reported that he said he wanted to just die, and he walked out into traffic on a very busy street in this area. So yeah, luckily, my brother-in-law is, former firefighter EMS. He's like a high-ranking fire chief or something now. And I don't say that with disrespect to his position. I just can never remember what his title is. But he was the one who had to go shut down that little club that the news dead body
Yeah,
was
you
stood
told
up
me.
in. But he was like, yeah, call EMS, have him FD12 him, and take him to PIW, which is a psychiatric institute here in Washington. Because my uncle was like, he couldn't have a conversation. He kept saying that the couch was covered with ants. Um, he was sweating like profusely. And it was obvious that his body was going to like an alcoholic shock because either he had too much alcohol or not enough. We couldn't tell at the time. And so they transported him to the institute and was supposed to keep him on a 72-hour hold. This nigga shows up at my parents' house Sunday morning in a cab. The institute to let him out, put him in a cab to come back to my parents' house. He's standing on the corner in the rain. I was like, and and you and I discussed it before, but I think the issue for me is for my mom, that's a tough thing for her to deal with because her losing her father in January, and then now here comes issues with her brother is very reminiscent of in 2002, my grandmother passes in February, and then 6-7 months behind her, my aunt passes. So for her to lose her mother and sister in the same year, now she's like, am I gonna lose my brother and my father in the same year? And she's just like, I just want to make sure that I'm doing all that I can. And me and my sister are like, people got to want to help themselves before we can help them. And I think because we've just come to a point where we're putting boundaries in place. And for me, I think the problem is in the life be lifer situation is now, am I going to break my boundaries to deal with this situation? And it's going to cause me added stress. But I don't want to see my mom stressed. And I don't want other people to take, unnecessary, burden and, undue stress of dealing with it. So my mom like called us today and was like, yeah, he's telling the people he drink 2 2-11s a day and he can do this outpatient program. I was like, he is lying. I was like, this nigga drink 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, 2 in the middle of the night. That's like 24-ounce cans, y'all. Like, this ain't no regular shit.
Right.
And his body basically was just like, apparently he hadn't had enough liquor. So his body was like calling for more. It is just like,
right.
I just went to once a month. Like, I'm probably on my 3rd month of once a month for therapy. And I'm like, nigga, do I need to go back to bi-weekly? Because I feel like y'all about to have me on edge. And it's just like, it's like, I don't want to seem insensitive and be like, he either gonna get help or I'm not helping his ass no more. But it's just been a lot dealing with him for since 2014 when Art went overseas. And it's almost like we're his guardians. We manage his money, anything having to do with his like personal life, work, all of that shit. And it's just like, it's a good thing I don't have kids because I wouldn't be able to function like dealing with this shit.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so that's my life be life and like, cause man, I'm trying to figure it out. And I just refuse to bend and flex on my boundaries because I just don't want to be stressed out.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. That's a lot, sis. Yeah. That is a fucking lot. Yeah, because it's definitely, especially, you typically one of the people that's like the rock in your family, so it's hard to not get absorbed in, like you got what you got going on, but it's hard not to get absorbed, trying to help other people not try to take it all on themselves, and then you end up taking more than you should. So I appreciate and applaud you on knowing that you need boundaries, knowing where those boundaries are, being a testament to the therapy that you've been going to. And, I mean, that's definitely one of the things that therapy helps people find is their limits. Like, what you can really handle, where you got to start saying no, where you got to back off, and where sometimes you're going to end up looking like the bad guy, or you might look a little callous. But at the end of the day, do you self destruct in order to save somebody? And
Yeah.
then do you self-destruct in order to save somebody who's trying their damnedest not to be saved? Like,
And that's my point. Like I
it's just
can't
a
do it for
tall
somebody
order,
that don't want
man.
to do it for themselves, you know.
That's a
And it's
tall
funny because I used
order.
to look at my sister and be like, yo, you're so detached and removed from family business. But now I get it. You know, now I get it. It's like if you get yourself all involved in family business, yo, it will drag
It's
you.
hard to get out.
Yeah, it will drag
It's
you and
hard to
suck
get
you
out.
in. And I'm just kind of like, now that I have learned to be like, that ain't my business. It's like, please don't, please don't put me in the business. I don't want y'all in my business, and I don't want to be in your business. Leave me alone. A
Completely
mess.
understand. Completely understand. Man, well, I'm always keep you in prayer and root for you
Thank
that it
you.
turns out for everybody, including
Yeah.
Uncle Bobby, man.
Oh, listen, we told my
Especially Uncle
mom,
Bobby, man.
tell that nigga if you want to live a normal life, you want to keep your job because his job is working with them. They like, we want to see him get help. We're willing to let him go on FMLA. We're willing to go on short-term disability. We'll hold his position. You know, it's like you want to keep living on your own. You want another car. You want to keep working. We suggest you go to his program because he keeps telling him he can do outpatient. It's not gonna work. Not gonna work.
Nah, no, you gotta change shit up to get the results you need, man.
Yep. Sometimes you gotta do what you don't want to do to get things you want. So
That's a fact. That's a fact. Uh, life be life and like adjustments. I mean, life is definitely in itself is always adjustments, but it's a lot of new over here. You know what I'm saying? Um, for in fact, I feel like this kind of like a lot of new for everybody but me. Um, it's new in that my son is starting kindergarten.
oh,
New in that my oldest son is starting high school. Um,
I'm feeling
New
so
that my
old with that
wife
one.
went from being a librarian to long-term substitute to officially being a teacher for
Mhm.
the school now. So now and in all of their lives, the things that's been asked of them for the past few years, now they're being asked to do more, to be more, to accommodate themselves to these unfamiliar surroundings, and
Yeah,
to acclimate. And I have to be the support system for all three of them. And I'm not saying it like it's the hardest job in the world to do or anything like that. I'm not saying that,
but it can be
but it's
taxing.
just reminding me to be super vigilant, um, because I always got to check on them and make sure that they're acclimating well. Of course, everybody's the most concerned about the teenager,
Hmm.
because it's high school and we know how that can be.
Yeah, them tough
You
years.
go from being a senior, and the big fish in the little pond, to starting over hitting the reset button. And not only is he not in the Philadelphia school system anymore, thank God. Um, he's not in Philly anymore. You know what I'm saying? So even though we're not like far from Philly or whatever, it's still it's still a weird kind of culture out here, to
Hmm.
where it's like it's not the stuff that he had to worry about in Philly to that degree. But you have a lot of kids. It's just funny because he tells me how, he got kids in his school that want to seem like they from the hood, they from the mud, they from the dirt so bad. And it's like they're sitting there telling you places in Philly they from. And, him who lived in Philly, who grew up in Philly and was sheltered, literally looks at them and is like, no, y'all not.
You bragging about that
Like
shit?
I know y'all not. Like I'm from here and I don't play tough. So how are you saying you know what I'm saying? Like it's not matching up. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's really
Make it
not
make
matching
sense.
up. Like I he's like that. I can tell that a bunch of them are lying.
Yeah. It's that
Because
clout shit
I
we was
mean,
talking
he
about.
he's going places with me where I'm coaching basketball and stuff like that, or I go to hoops. So he's seen different environments in Philly, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, it's not making sense." Like he'll
Yeah.
literally ask me about a street name. I'm like, "Dad, didn't you tell me?" And I'm just like, "Well, that's the thing about it. That you do have some families that did the same thing I did, where you moved out of
Hmm.
Philly. You go to the suburbs, or you go to the county, to try to improve your life a little bit or improve the settings and
Yeah.
surroundings. But your kids, they don't mean nothing to your kids. It's not a come up to your kids because
Mm-mm. They don't get
for your
it.
kids, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? And even though they probably wasn't anything that they want to be over here, it's like this gives them a rebirth. There's a whole bunch of kids they don't know. There's a whole bunch of people who don't know them or who don't know where they came from. So now you get to come over
Mm-hmm.
here and pretend to be everything that you couldn't
Yeah.
be over there because you wasn't hard enough.
Yeah. Kind of get to start new.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, kind of like what we said, the internet and social media does for people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's doing for these kids, but just that
Mm.
whole thing, that whole environment for him, and just making sure he stays true to who he is, making sure he stays comfortable,
Yeah,
um,
that's the drop right there.
and making sure that he understands. Like everybody's been asking about making friends because he's kind of socially awkward, and I told him, don't worry about it. Literally, don't try. Don't worry about it. Stay to yourself. Mind your own business. Just be open and receptive to good energy. You know what I'm saying? So that when
Yeah,
the person
that's
who's
great
supposed to
advice.
find you, the person who's supposed to find you is able to find you. They able to reach out to you. You know what I mean? That person that
Mm-hmm.
throws you the head nod because you rocking a
Yeah,
particular hoodie or shirt. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You see it, y'all see it. Next thing you know, real
yeah.
recognize real. Next thing you know, that's the best man at your wedding. You know what I'm saying?
Like the real way, like how black guys become friends. They see each other. Nod. Couple days go by, double nod. Next thing you
Yeah,
know,
you know
it's
what I'm
like the
saying?
dad. Next thing you know, dad with the shoulder joke. Next thing you know, yeah.
Nigga, you're like, it's just, and that's literally how men are, man. That's literally how black men are, bro. That is
Yep,
exactly how we
yep.
become tight. Like I had to tell him, I was like, your Uncle Artie, your godfather. Like I met him on uh in orientation,
Oh,
and then I saw him again in moving day. And then I didn't see
oh,
him again for like a cool month and a half, maybe two. And by the time I see him, he's hanging out with your mom.
yeah, that's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
It was like
Like the
meant to
next time I
be.
see him, he's hanging out with your mom. I'm trying to date your mom. And this is
Hmm.
the boy who's like her homeboy, you know what I mean? She look at him
Yeah,
like a brother he hanging out. And next thing you know, this is the best man at my wedding. This is your godfather.
it's
You know what I'm
crazy.
saying? So when I tell you that who's meant to find you will find you as long as you keep yourself open and receptive to it, you don't have to
Yeah,
go looking and chasing
looking for
for it.
anything. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nate is making a new friend today. Like,
Cause that's how littles
because,
are though. There's just no,
yeah.
and he's so
So,
personable anyway. Like he has no
yeah.
problems.
So, and then of course, trying to be there for my wife because on top of her taking these new tasks as an official teacher for the school, she's also going back to school. The
Yeah,
school decided to help her, pay to get her master's,
that's what I'm talking
to send her back to get her
about.
master's. So, I mean, it's a lot that's on her plate. So, I have to, I have to kind of stand in the gap for when she comes home from this night and she needs more time to get the homework done, or because
Yeah.
she actually has a physical class. They went from digital to physical.
Oh
So
wow. Yeah, I
one
wouldn't be able to
one
do
night
it.
out the week, I mean, she don't get to come home. Like her
Yeah,
class
she
is
had to go
out
straight
on,
back to school. You leave school to go
not
to.
even straight back. Like she can't come home. She can't come home because the class is on that side of town
Oh yeah.
where she and I work. So it don't make no sense
I don't miss them
coming back
days
here.
at all. I don't miss
So
them
you know what I
days
mean? I
at
gotta
all.
make sure the boys are straight, and I gotta make sure when she come home, she could be straight. Um, and with this particular injury, still, rehabbing and dealing with that, it's not
Mm-hmm.
the easiest thing to do. Like there's so many days where it's like, I don't want to do shit.
Yeah,
I just don't. Like
I
walking
can
around in
imagine.
that thing, it's gotten easier over time. I'm 2 weeks out. Praise God, I'm 2 weeks out from not having to wear it anymore.
Yay!
But even that, it's just sometimes I just feel the tightness in my Achilles, and it's like it'll burn or it'll feel really tight or it'll itch,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just kind of like that shit is scary because I don't want to re-injure it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the only thing I hate about
and
that injury. It's almost like tearing the ACL. You're always worried that you're going to re-injure it.
absolutely. So, um, yeah, it's just kind of like trying to make sure that I don't. that I don't overdo it in terms of, thinking of things and try to make sure I don't underdo it, like to where, like I
Yeah.
said, I'm tired or I'm apathetic and I'm not getting enough done. So
Yeah.
it's really
It
been,
takes a
accommodations,
balance.
finding, yeah, there it is, finding that balance. And granted, it's life stuff. Everybody has their version of it. But like I said, for everybody else that's in this new setting or whatever, and I am trying to find a new setting as far as work because my office
Hmm.
just not cutting it for
It's
me.
not cutting it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been saying that for the better part of a year and a half,
Yeah.
and something that happened today at work just reminded me,
I gotta get the fuck out of here.
like ASAP. Yeah, me ASAP,
Yeah.
ASAP. No Rocky. Um,
Yeah.
cause yeah, but that's the end of my life. Be life and rant.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, we're gonna go ahead and close this episode out. Um, on a positive note, let's go ahead with our closing statements. And of course, I'm always gonna have you go first.
Well, with all of the life be life and moments that I've had in the past month or so, I'm still harping on mental health. People, please get go talk to
Absolutely.
somebody. I just watched a video today where this lady was talking about her son destroying her apartment, and the fact at first I was like, oh, that little nigga would die, but of course can't believe everything you see on the internet. They were saying he was 12 and then his phone was taken. She was like, my son is 15. My son is 6 feet tall. He is 275 pounds. No, I can't beat him. No, this wasn't because I took his phone. And I'm just like, damn, even kids are dealing with mental health issues. Like, y'all, please go get help ASAP. If your kids need help, send them for it. Don't, and I say this also coming on the heels of my life be life a moment because I will put my life on the fact that if my grandparents had not been embarrassed, more so my grandfather, about getting therapy and seeing a psychologist or a counselor, or my uncle probably wouldn't be the way he is. And I do feel like him going to grief counseling opened up a can of worms that he really wasn't ready to deal with, about stuff that he's probably suppressed for so many years. That's why it's important to seek help immediately for things that have devastated you in some way. And for me, this is speaking positive because I don't think, even though now it's becoming, popular to go get therapy and get a counselor and see somebody, have a professional best friend, as I like to call them, I still feel like there's a stigma around it. And
For sure.
people are afraid to really, I always, the term I always like to use when talking to her, I was like, stand in the mirror and see yourself. Because when you bring that stuff to the surface, that shit don't just go away. Once you've, you know, spilled it and talked about it, it's like now you done, threw blood on the carpet and you got to try to clean it up. And it's not going to be as easy to get out. It's a stain. Um, but don't let
That's a
that
great
cause you
analogy.
to not, you know, go get help and work through those problems. I've been in therapy by myself for almost 3 years now, and I've been seeing my therapist, since 2013. So, and I'm still got issues, y'all. So, go get some help, talk to somebody, be mindful about those who you are talking to about your problems if it's someone that you're not paying. And give people
Even if
grace.
it's somebody you paying,
Even if and
because
if you
we
don't
we
feel like
just
your
seen that
therapist is right,
situation. Listen,
facts.
listen, listen, listen. If your therapist got a TikTok and ain't talking about therapy, get another therapist.
Yeah, because never
Okay,
that. Like,
because after
um,
seeing that whole nonsense, and I stand on being
yeah.
completely cool with her having lost her job because of it. Because the
Hmm.
fact is, you can't do that. Like I get the whole
Yeah.
thing about, oh, well, y'all men this, y'all men that, y'all men this, y'all men that,
Yeah.
y'all just
Fuck
mad
that.
because she told y'all about yourselves. Listen, the fact is, it's hard enough for people to make, and I'm not gonna just make this a man thing. I will speak to men about it, but this is not just a man thing. It's like you said, it's hard enough to make the decision to go to therapy because, like you said, a lot of people don't want to face the whole them in the mirror. Like they know it's certain parts they avoid. And then there's certain parts you don't even realize you've been locking away and avoiding.
Hmm.
But you don't want to go ahead and unlock that now all of a sudden, but you need to. You
Yeah,
gotta
you
face
definitely
it so
need
that you
to.
can cope with it, so that you can grow from it. But it's scary enough of a decision to make to go. It's sometimes even scarier decision to go back, because once you start seeing the doors that's open, you like, oh shit, oh,
I want to shut that motherfucker and lock it.
yeah. So even to go back and then to have somebody sitting there, taking your shortcomings and throwing it in the other face of people who haven't gone. So like, don't let that keep you from going, man. Like that. Yes, I know she's not going to be the only person who talks bad about her clients or exposes her clients and things like that.
Yeah.
So like, it's one of two things: either check and see if your therapist got a TikTok where they talk about y'all, or don't follow your therapist social media.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, if you need it, and be
Go get it.
honest,
Yeah.
majority of us need it at some points for something.
Hmm.
Anything that gravely traumatic has happened to you, you probably need it. Go
Yeah.
see somebody, man. Like, especially if you are a working person, you have benefits, you have insurance, so that it covers some of it, man. Like for
Yeah.
me, I recommend BetterHelp and ThriveWorks. Those are two firms that I know uh, have connected people, and people have benefited from it.
Oh, great
So
recommendations.
definitely look into those, um, and see what you can do. I mean, there's quite more affordable options than y'all realize.
Yeah.
You just got to be willing to make the effort. You got to be willing to make the time. And you got to be willing to make the commitment to becoming whole. You'll
Yeah.
be surprised how much it helps you handle the bigger and tougher things when they occur.
Yeah.
You'll be
Agreed.
surprised. You'll be
Agreed.
surprised, man. I just want people to be their complete and a whole self. So,
Yeah.
as me said, man, definitely look into therapy. Um, and not to be cliche or nothing, but keep your head up, man. It's life gets hard. Um, be kicking
Life
y'all
be
in the
lifing.
ass. Life be lifing, you know what I mean? Life be lifing on everybody, whether you use our term or not. Life be lifing, and don't compare your struggles to nobody else's, man. I just seen
Hmm.
some posts where it was talking about toxic positivity. It's funny how people throw the word toxic around, but in this case, I really get it. Where it's like, oh, keep a chin up. It's not that bad. You know, don't cry, smile. And it's like people say these things and they think it's making you feel better. Like, yeah, hey, it could always be worse. Somebody else has it worse, right? And it's like, you don't have to say none of that shit, because
Yeah.
your struggles are your struggles. They're valid. If your struggle, like me, my struggle right now is, I'm afraid that that after these 2 weeks, I still can't fit back into my other shoe. Like, and then I'll have to keep wearing this boot for another week or so.
Week or so.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? The things that it stops me from being able to do, the things that it slows me down from. Like, I'm fucking paranoid and nervous at night because I can't just square up and rumble the way I used to. If something goes down, I can't just take off, you know what I'm saying, if I
Right.
need to. You
You
know what I'm
on a
saying?
hobble.
You dig me? Like, I'm gonna have to toss the thing to run. And then the question is, can I run on this
Hmm.
Achilles without that shit going out on me again? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, like, that to somebody else who's facing homelessness, to somebody else who's been, sexually assaulted, to somebody who lost somebody, that might seem like nothing. But I'm not playing the struggle Olympics with no fucking body. And neither should you.
Exactly.
Neither
Mind your
should you.
struggle. Shit.
Your struggle is your struggle. I don't care who else got it 10 times worse. I don't care how close they are to you, how much empathy and
Yeah.
sympathy you have for them. Do not invalidate your pain, your struggles, your issues by comparing it to anybody else.
Yeah.
They are yours. You are human. Do what you have to do to get through yours, because you can't keep, as they say, you can't keep pouring out of an empty cup. You sit there and keep
Yep.
comparing your struggles to somebody else's, trying to downplay yours. Next thing you know, it'll be something small that you could get past. That'll be the blow up,
Hmm.
because you sat there and
Yep.
tried to push everything down, and there's no
Yep.
more room. And
That's
all it took was
bubbling to
this
the
little drop.
surface.
Boom. Now everything blows out, and
Yep.
that ends bad. That could cost you your job. It could cost you your relationships, whether it's romantic or friendships. It could cost you your fucking life, because sometimes that's what caused people to take their own life. That's what caused people to snap and take somebody else's life, because you have not addressed your mental health. Man, every episode we
Mhm.
gonna tell you. If you don't like hearing about mental health, then
Don't listen to
you gonna
us.
have to skip at some point during our episodes, because it's going to be an every episode thing, because we know it's important, and we're not gonna put people down for not going. Like I said, I get how
Yeah.
scary it is to
It's
make the decision.
daunting.
I just want to keep encouraging you to do so. That's
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, "Look at me and look at my life." No, bro. I'm not even gonna do that. I'm just gonna say that I know it's going to help you further along than trying to do it all by yourself. Plain and simple. This
Facts.
this world is tough enough. This world is hard enough on everybody to be trying to sit there and raw dog it alone, man.
Yeah.
Get you help where you could get help.
That's it. That's all.
That is it, and that is all. Once again, man, this is the Life Be Life and podcast. Thank you for joining us. Please, like, share, subscribe to us on YouTube. We on Spotify. We on Apple. In fact, we on Spotify. We need those 5 stars, not 4, not 3. You
Yeah.
feel
Hurry
me?
up.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. We on Apple, we on Google, we are around. When you see the IG, okay, life B, the letter B, not BE, life B, lifing. When you see us on IG, go ahead, follow. You know what I'm saying? Click the link in the bio, tap in with us. We take criticism, we take comments, we take suggestions, all that, because we just trying to, we trying to vibe with y'all. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Opening the door for conversation, constructive conversation, some fun, and some growth between us as a people, man. Because I just think that's what we need. All right.
Yeah. For sure.
Y'all take care of yourselves, man. On behalf of, A.C.E, my brother, that's who we always be. On behalf of Mimi, the goddess herself, and on behalf of your favorite coach's favorite coach, man, be good, be respectful, be safe, and stay dangerous. Be smart and be good to everybody you possibly can. I say it all the time. Some people not
Mm-hmm.
going to make it possible. So don't lose
Yeah.
sleep over it. But be good to everybody you possibly can, because you don't know who really needs it more than you
Yeah,
do.
man.
And most of all, be good to
Okay.
yourselves, man.
For sure.
Take care. Peace. We love y'all.
Night, y'all.